Welcome back to another devlog of my VR magic game. In today's video, as you might already guessed from the trailer, I wanna focus on the first iteration of combat and the enemy. First of all, I want to show you a little quality of life improvement, which is the new visualization for spellcasting. Previously, when drawing a gesture, we had just simple bubble particles which disappear very quickly. With more complicated gestures, that could be an issue because we couldn't tell what we had already drawn. Now we can see the whole gesture currently being drawn, and when we complete it, we receive information if the gesture is recognized or not. This visualization will definitely be tweaked in the future to be more pleasant to look at, but the general idea will stay the same. Now we can test our spells in real combat, so let's find some enemies to fight. It's definitely a tough opponent. Let's take a closer look at what is happening here and what our enemy can do. The Golem for now has 7 different animations, including 3 attacks. Idle, when a player isn't around. Work, if any other action is not occurring and player is in range. Damage received. That is triggered only when the enemy doesn't perform any attack. When we hit him with any spell, he will be slightly pushed back. Die. That should immediately interrupt any in-progress attack. That is not working this way right now. The enemy firstly finishes its attack and then dies, so it needs to be fixed in the future. Punch attack. Simple punch in very close range. Power jump attack. When the player is in the jump range, if we receive the damage from it, we will be stunned as well. That Golem is a relatively slow enemy, so stun attack is actually very crucial here. Without that, we could just run around and probably never receive any damage. Long distance attack, very long range and a lot of damage. That attack needs to be nerfed a bit, because right now it is really hard to avoid this. While it is in the preparatory phase, the enemy follows the player's positions and rotates towards it, so there is a really small gap between aiming and attacking, and not much time for the player to react. I have plans to add one more attack, which will be picking up a stone and throwing it at the player. You probably heard already about arts generated by artificial intelligence. This enemy was created with its help. I generate basic concept art for the creature, and based on the image, create the front side of the model. Later, I made the debug site, cleaned up the mesh topology, and did a lot of tweaking. Rigging and animating cost me a ton of work. Basically, because it was the most complex model I worked on so far, and I definitely don't have much experience with animations. This golem had a lot of iterations, and definitely will have many more. As you can see, the golem has a crystal attached to it, as well as the player for both hands. This indicates the value of a certain statistic: red for HP, blue for mana. At this point, value is represented by color. I have plans to change that, because now it's a bit hard to tell how much HP we have left, as well as for the enemy. I will change that in a way that the crystal will be like a bottle with liquid inside, and the level of this will correspond to the current value. I want this game to have as little UI as possible, so still we won't be able to tell exactly how much HP we have left, but with that representation we will have a good approximation. Crystals, besides being stats visualization, will be a loot from the enemies and used in spells, and maybe as some kind of currency in the game. With visible stats, we should be able to regenerate lost HP in some way. Right now, I have a very basic regeneration system, which just adds value over time without any conditions. I am thinking about a system that will regenerate statistic only out of combat and in specific spots, for example by the campfire. It will force a specific way of exploration when you won't be able to rush without a break. But you will have to plan your adventures more carefully, and you will have a time to relax, check and manage your inventory, learn new skills and so on. You could spot during combat that the orb spell has a slightly different behavior. Previously, when we summoned the orb, it just flew in front of the player and we could manually catch it with telekinesis. In combat, that would be a bit too slow and frustrating to use. So now we have some kind of chaining spell. When we cast the orb, it will automatically invoke a telekinesis with this as a target. At this point, I will have to refactor spell system code very soon. It was the first system written in this project, and it became a bit messy and not that easy to use. A big milestone is behind us. Definitely more enemies and spells to come. So, what's next? Now I will be focusing on the next very important feature, which is loot and the whole inventory system. As I mentioned before, I want my game to have as little UI as possible, so it creates some difficulties. How to create an inventory system without a UI? I am thinking about something similar that a Township Tale has, but a bit more complex. I want an item, depending on its type, to require a special type of slot to be stored. For example, when we will have a backpack, we can have 2 tool slots for weapons, 1 special slot for spellbook, and a couple common slots for other containers or basic loot, a pouch for coins, and so on. With that system, we won't be able to store weapons in common slots or vice versa. Common items, for example coins, in a weapon slot. Besides that, we will be able to send unneeded loot to our base for a small price, so we should not struggle with lack of space, but it will require some smart management. That will be it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you think about the combat, first enemy and plans for the near future. If you have any suggestions, feel free to write it down as well. I hope that you enjoyed this devlog. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, and to not miss another one, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching, have a great day until the next time!